Good evening. Well, after weeks of a phony campaign, the real one's begun, with Anna Bligh today making a March 24 poll official. Queenslanders have 5 weeks to decide if they want to give Labor another 3 years. An exclusive poll for 9 News shows there is a real taste for change. Just 24% of Queenslanders are planning to vote one for Labor.
Early morning Burleigh heads and the calm before the storm. Anna Bligh briefly went back to her childhood roots and shaky Labor electoral ground. One last chance to feel the sun on her face, the sand between her toes.
There's nothing like being near the ocean to clear your head and get ready for a big event.
After so many weeks of build-up, the storm finally broke just before 11 with a formal visit to Government House.
Looking forward to it.
No surprise, the Premier chose Ashgrove to kick off Campaign 2012. To keep Kate Jones in, and Campbell Newman out.
As this battle begins, we are in for the fight of our lives. A fight for Queenslanders, a fight for Queensland and a fight for our future.
Labor will campaign on the strength of Bligh and the budget.
Now is the time to stick with me, to stick with our program and not take a risk on a Liberal National Party that is divided and unstable.
An hour later, also in Ashgrove, surrounded by campaign workers and candidates, Campbell Newman fired his opening shots.
It's time for a change. It's time to get Queensland back on track. We have to clean up Labor's mess.
Believe the polls, assuming he wins Ashgrove, Newman will be Premier in 5 weeks. And it's all about the economy, the cost of living and accountability.
We've seen scandal after scandal. We've seen ministers go to jail.
There are still many unanswered questions about Campbell Newman, about a budget surplus, a leadership plan B if he can't win the seat.
It could be an absolute recipe for chaos at a time when our state needs stability, strength and leadership.
I believe the people of Ashgrove will get it right.
The campaign's a juggling act for Campbell Newman. He'll have to spend time around the state. He'll also have to spend plenty of time in Ashgrove to make sure he wins a seat.
Are we going to fight hard? Yeah! Are we going to make this happen for Queensland? Yeah! You betcha!
Lane Kelcott, 9 News.
Anna Bligh's Labor faces a wipeout of epic proportions on polling day. A 9 News poll, the biggest sample taken so far of voter intentions, reveals a nightmare for Labor.
1,500 Queenslanders called by the 9 Reach-Tell poll over the last 2 days handed Anna Bligh a stark verdict.
She'll have to be more than a fighter. She's going to have to be a miracle worker.
Labor's primary vote slumped to just 24%. The LNP is on 56, more than double Labor. The Greens have 5%, trailing Katter's Australian Party on 9. Peter Beattie, 9's election commentator, is aghast.
The figures are shockers. 74 we ended up with 11 seats with the Labor Party. We're in the same boat now.
When forced to choose between the two major parties, Labor manages less than 32%. The LNP, topping 68%, is headed for the political stratosphere.
She needs to improve the vote by 18% at least to win.
There's more bad news for Anna Bligh. Just a third surveyed said she'd make the better Premier. Campbell Newman is backed by over 65%. The poll produced another surprise when people were asked if the LNP wins government but Campbell Newman fails in Ashgrove, who would they prefer as Premier? Former leader Lawrence Springborg is favoured.
Well, he's a tough bull ant and potentially he's got more comebacks than Lazarus.
Jeff Seeney's 15 points behind Springborg. John Paul Langbrook and Tim Nichols are third and fourth choices. Spencer Jolly, 9 News.
Labor and the LNP are on their own as far as Katter's Australian Party goes, with its Queensland leader announcing he won't be giving preferences to either of them.
It's very, very clear to see that the ALP Liberals have become two heads of the same creature, and we are not in a position in good conscience to preference either of those parties.
The party's federal leader Bob Katter says he'll be heavily involved in campaigning. The LNP needs to pick up 14 seats to take government. I spoke with Campbell Newman a short time ago. Mr Newman, you won't talk about a plan B for the leadership, so why do you think the voters of Ashgrove will do the right thing, as you say, and vote for you?
Well, I've been out across that electorate for the last 10.5 months and I've lived around the area and been associated with the community for 26 years. And I know that they're a smart, well-educated community. They know what's at stake. They know that it's time for change in Queensland. They know that this is the opportunity to get the state back on track. And there's a clear contest. It's between Anna Bligh and Campbell Newman. And the feedback I'm getting is that they know that that's what it's all about.
So you mentioned change. Why is it time for change? Why should people trust you?
Well, look, I've got a positive plan for Queensland. I need to restore the state's finances. I need to build better roads and infrastructure across Queensland. I want to get our schools really working so our kids are better educated. And particularly, of course, I want to sort out the problems in our health system. So finally, my biggest and most important pledge is to get jobs for Queenslanders, and we're targeting a 4% unemployment rate in 6 years' time.
OK, Campbell Newman, thank you.
Thanks very much indeed.
Premier Anna Bligh joins us now live from Parliament House. Premier, you're ready for a fight. Peter Beattie actually says you'll need to be a miracle worker to win.
There's no doubt that I've got a very tough road in front of me, and I know I've got a lot of ground to make up, but I've got a team that's hungry for this job, that wants to be out there talking to Queenslanders about our achievements. We promised to get Queensland through the GFC, and that's what we've done, and look where we are now, the envy of Australia and the fastest growing economy.
How can you ask people to trust you, though, again, after the asset sales and the petrol subsidy went?
As I say, what I promised at the last election was to take us through the GFC. And here we are today, one of the fastest growing economies in the country, despite the toughest of times. And it's all because of Labor's plan, and we've got big plans for the future. Now is the time to stick with that plan, not risk it, with an LNP that's divided and a leader who may not even win his seat.
OK, Premier, just very quickly, is it personal now between you and Campbell Newman?
For me, this is not about one person, it's about Queensland. I see a big, rosy future for our state, and I don't want to see it at risk.
OK, Premier, thanks for joining us.